So, have you ever a place, walked through a place that was clearly made for people, but for some reason there's no one there? Not abandoned, not ruined, just paused. A hallway with humming fluorescent light, old carpet that looks a little too yellow, doors that don't seem to lead anywhere important. You just stand there and your brain whispers, something is wrong here. The feeling, that's the entire universe of Backrooms. And I think that's why it's starting to haunt so many people. The first time I saw Backrooms, it didn't hit me like normal horror movie. There was no big musical jump scare, no monster flying at the camera, no ghost calling out of the TV. It was just empty rooms. Endless, sickly yellow corridors, a camera wandering almost casually through this place that felt like a dream I'd almost had once. And the weird part was I couldn't stop thinking about it afterwards. Not because I was afraid something would jump out at me, but because I had this lingering sense of I've seen this somewhere before, but I don't know when. It felt like a memory I didn't own. That to me is what makes Backrooms different. It's not just scary, it's unsettling in a way that makes people feel personal. So if you somehow missed it, well, Backrooms has moved from a creepy internet idea into a full movie. It started as a viral YouTube short, a found footage style video about someone non-flipping out of the reality into this endless office like maze. And now it's a feature movie directed by Ken Parsons, the same creator behind those original ideas. The new film, we follow Clark, a furniture store manager. His name is Clark, whose life is a kind of, a failure. I don't know, falling apart. I would say. And Mary, his therapist. He discovers a portal in the basement of this store. He literally hidden in this very normal, fluorescent lit environment that opens into a dimension of seemingly endless liminal space. At first, it's just one corridor, then it becomes a labyrinth. Offices, hallways, rooms, all familiar and wrong at the same time. But eventually, Clark disappears into a world, and Mary has to go in herself to find him. Navigating this maze, and that feel like reality has been stretched too thin. It's marketed as horror, but what it really uses as its weapon is not some monster, not gore. It's just space. There's a word that keeps coming up around bedrooms, liminal spaces. Well, liminal comes from the Latin word for threshold, like standing in a doorway. It means in between things, between the room and the next, one moment and the next, one life stage and the next. Hallways, stairwells, waiting rooms, empty school corridors, hotel lobbies at 3 a.m. These are all liminal spaces. They're not places you're meant to stay in. They just exist to move you from one real place to another. But normally they're filled with people and movement. But when they're empty and the lights are still on, something very strange happens. They start to feel like they're waiting. Not for you specifically, just waiting. That's the feeling Backrooms locks onto and refuses to let you go of. Well, why does it feel off? Psychologists sometimes talk about the uncanny. That feeling of unease when something is both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. Like a doll that looks almost human and a face that looks real until you stare at it a little too long. Backrooms is like the architectural version of that. These rooms look normal. Cheap office carpets, beige or chartreuse walls, fluorescent ceiling tiles. We've all seen some version of this: schools, offices, malls, furniture stores, those old family buildings. But then a few things are wrong. There are no people, no windows, no clocks. The layout doesn't quite make sense. And the more you walk, the less you feel like you're getting anywhere. It's like your brain keeps trying to say, relax. This is a normal hallway, and some deeper part of you answers, then why does it feel like time died in here? That conflict between recognition and wrongness is what makes the Backrooms so deeply unsettling. Another reason Backrooms hits so hard, it's the weirdly nostalgic. The colors, the design, the fluorescent hum, so much of it feels like the 80s or 90s or the early 2000s. It looks like the kind of place you might have wandered as a kid. A mall corridor, a daycare hallway, an office where your parents worked. Those strange generic spaces you barely remember. So when you see it, your brain does this little flicker of recognition. Oh wait, I know this. I've been somewhere like this, right? Backrooms uses that nostalgia against you. Because it's not just a scary place, it's a half-remembered place. And when nostalgia is stripped of people, warmth, and context, it stops being comforting. It starts becoming eerie. It's like walking into your childhood school and finding every classroom empty, lights buzzing, chairs perfectly arranged, and no one has been there for years. That uneasy mix of comfort and dread is a big part of why Backrooms lingers in your head. But I think there's an even deeper layer to why Backrooms hit so many people, especially now. It's not just about space, it's about loneliness and repetition, the fear of being stuck in a life that feels like an endless corridor. Think about the way think about the way a lot of the days you feel. You wake up, you check your phone, you go to work or school, maybe from the same small room. You stare at screens, you scroll, you go home, you do it again. The physical spaces changes, but that feeling doesn't. Rooms blur together, days blur together. Bedrooms takes that emotion textures, that the sense that every corridor looks the same, and makes it literal. In the film, Clark discovers this null zone, this other dimension that looks like a twisted version of the spaces he already lives in. Corridor showrooms, office-like rooms. He keeps going deeper and deeper through doors that look like they should take him somewhere meaningful, but instead they just reshaped the same emptiness. It's hard not to see that as a metaphor for how life can feel when you're trapped in patterns that don't seem to lead anywhere. The horror isn't just what if something is chasing me in here. It's also what if I never reach the exit. The liminal spaces are supposed to be temporary. You pass through them on your way to something else. The bedroom twists that. What if the hallway never ends? What if the waiting room is all there is? What if the in-between becomes the whole story? That's a strangely existential kind of horror, because it's not just about being lost in a maze. It's about being lost in a phase, being between jobs, being between relationships, between identities. Feel like you're always on your way to your real life, but never quite arriving. Backrooms gives that feeling a physical shape. A place that looks like it was built as a transition, but somehow swallowed the destination. And the more you walk, the less certain you are that any door will lead back to the world. In the movie, that's why therapist character is such a powerful choice. Mary isn't just a random person wandering around. She's someone whose job is to walk into other people's inner worlds, to step into their chaos, their trauma, their confusion, and help them find a path out. So when Clark disappears into this impossible space, she has to go in after him. It's not just a rescue mission. It's more like visually representing what it feels like to enter someone else's mental labyrinth. A place where things almost make sense but not quite. Familiar scenes are warped. Time feels unreliable. And the deeper you go, the more you realize you might get lost too. That's a deeply human fear, that trying to help someone else could pull you into your own unresolved spaces. That in trying to pull someone out of their backrooms, you might face your own. If you've ever felt like your life was stuck in such kind of endless hallway, where every day looks the same and you can't quite see where it's all leading, Backrooms hits differently, because it doesn't just say imagine a scary place. It says imagine never arriving, never fully arriving at happiness, at stability, at the life you thought you were walking toward. And maybe that's why, even after the movie ends or the video stops, there's this residue of unease left over. Not about monsters, but about the spaces we live inside every day. Offices, schools, train stations, empty streets at night, the hallway outside your apartment, the building you pass through without thinking. Bedrooms makes you suddenly notice them. The buzzing lights, the repeating doors, the strangely still air. And it makes you ask quietly, how much of my life is happening in places like this? So, why does Bedroom feel so deeply unsettling? Because it doesn't just show us a creepy alternate dimension. It shows us how familiar those spaces can turn strange when they lose their purpose. How nostalgia can become eerie when it's emptied of people. How repetition and isolation can make life feel like an infinite corridor. How terrifying it is to imagine never reaching the room you were meant to arrive in. The horror of Backrooms is not just that you might not get out, it's that you might start to forget what out even looked like. And maybe that's the quiet invitation buried inside all of this. To pay attention to the spaces we move through, to notice when our lives start to feel like liminal corridors with no destination, and to remember that we're not meant to live in the waiting rooms forever. Thanks for walking through this with me. If this made you rethink the spaces around you, even just a little, you can stick around with me and we'll keep exploring our perceptions of reality. Thank you. Bye.